how to grow your PP. Instant results guaranteed. You know, just another use for a foam roller. Really useful things, those. Now, what not a lot of people realise is the root cause of most injuries is postural faults. People don't realise this. People presume, you know, you bend over and try to pick something and your back goes. You associate the injury with the action that you committed at the time of the injury, when often it's postural faults which create muscular imbalances that are the actual root cause of many injuries, you know, especially as you get older. Now, what you need to consider first, you know, first thing with posture, because what happens, the reason why 95% of all humans now in our modern age, especially in the Western world, now have a postural fault is because everyone is hunched over a screen all day, you know, doing this. Or you sat on the sofa watching telly, you know, look at how my back is. My back is, these are all poor posture positions. If you're not doing that, you're sat in bed like this, you know, or you're watching television, you know, or you're in your office, slumped over a computer like this, typing your work, or if you're like this, you know, and you tend to sort of, when you're typing, you tend to sort of switch between these two positions all day. You know, when people walk as well, you know, when I'm out and about, and I always notice people tend to have this postural fault. It's the most common postural fault. It's called kyphosis of the thoracic spine, where the head is craned forward like this. The other, and usually this comes with anteriorly rotated shoulders. You know, go out next time you are out and about, observe people and see how common this is. Now, this can all be repaired, but, you know, if you're doing this in childhood, a lot of people are doing this, building these habits from childhood. I was fortunate we didn't have screens or any of this other stuff when I was young, so I actually grew up being active and everything. Now, you've got a lot of social media influencers promoting, you know, this swagger type thing, you know, and this is awful for your posture. Now, another thing, you know, which men especially tend to do, is that they'll puff out their chests, suck in their stomachs, especially when an attractive woman walks past. And what happens is, you know, watch, when I puff out my chest and I'm flaring my lats to show off my lat spread and my physique, look at my shoulders. My shoulders are anteriorly rotated. Many men are walking like this, you know, to puff out their chests, swagger down the road and look tough. You know, this is all with poor posture. When you see a lot of young men doing this, they're swaggering down the road and they've got chicken neck. You know, the head's craned forward like this because they have developed a poor posture. So what you need to do, you know, this is for when you're walking, because we spend most of our time either sitting, standing, walking. When you're standing or walking, throw your shoulders back a couple of inches. You know, don't have your shoulders anteriorly rotated. Throw your shoulders back. You know, I'll show you this quickly. What you do is you pack your scapula. So you pack your scapula. Watch when I do this. When I have my shoulders in the proper position, my scapula is packed. You pack your scapula and pull it down. This will give you good, correct posture. When you look from the side at your upper half, the ear should be in line pretty much with the centre of your shoulder. You know, if you're forward like this, which a lot of people are, you know, this is bad. Now, if you want to test this out, find yourself a flat surface that you can stand against, and what you want to do is you want your heels, the backs of your calf muscles, your glutes, your scapula and the back of your head all against the wall. Now if this feels uncomfortable to you in any way, or you feel discomfort when you move your head back, you probably have kyphosis of the upper spine, but do not despair because this can be fixed. So when you are walking or standing, perform a little posture check. Look, feet, your feet level, are your toes, knees over toes, hips over knees, are you all straight? Is your scapula packed? Your shoulders are back in the correct place. You're not hunched over like this. Now that's standing and walking. Now over to the desk. Now when you're sitting, you should make sure that you're sitting in a upright position. Again, you want your scapula packed and down. So I imagine I've got the computer in front of me. Sit like this when you're on the computer. Perch yourself on the edge of the chair, and this encourages an upright spine. If you want to sit back and everything, also be certain that you've got the correct height for your desk. So my feet are flat on the floor. So I'm not just supporting my entire weight on the base of my spine and my pelvis, it's also on my feet as well. If you find, that you're not at the right level, put a cushion on your seat even. Now when you want sort of 90 degrees, so when you're working at your desk, you don't want your hands like this, and ideally you don't want your hands reaching down. You want them at around 90 degrees. Now every time you catch yourself at your desk, either slumping over with anteriorly rotated shoulders or slouching back, which causes curvature of the lumbar spine, keep correcting yourself, keep correcting yourself when you remember, keep reminding yourself to remember. After time, you will build up a habit, and you don't have to be a statue. And another thing that I would advise is when you're sitting at your desk, get up and move sort of once every, 20, 30 minutes. Get up, do a few body weight squats, stretch a little, because you don't want to be sat in that position. What happens when you're sitting a lot? Your hip flexors are shortened. So if you're a person who sits for a living because you work at a desk with a computer, you're a receptionist, anything which involves sitting for a long period of time, even watching the television on the sofa, sitting around, if you sit for a long time, your hip flexors are going to be shortened, and this creates stiffness in the hip flexors, and you'll then have mobility, problems. Now, the other thing, when you spend 8 hours or more, I hope you're spending 8 hours or more asleep each night. Now, imagine I'm in bed. Now, if you sleep on your side or on your back, these are the best positions for good posture. But it's difficult to maintain posture if you bring the camera down to the side. Now imagine I'm sleeping on my side. We have a tendency, my pelvis, look at my pelvis. And this is what happens a lot. Your spine, when your pelvis is like this, your spine is out of line. Of course, you could sleep on your back like this, but these are the little tip I would do, to tell you. If you put a cushion like this, when you're sleeping on your side, look at my pelvis. My pelvis is now packed in its natural position. It's not forward as it would be like this. It has a tendency to do this. Put a cushion in there, solves the problem. If you're a person who sleeps on your back, put the cushion underneath the bottom of your thighs like this. This will promote better pelvic position, because usually when you're on a mattress, you kind of sink into the mattress. So when you're like that, again, your pelvis is pushed out of line slightly. By putting a pillow at the bottom of your arse and the backs of your thighs, you're actually maintaining good posture while you are asleep. And don't, as many people do, stack the pillows for more comfort, because you're putting your neck and the upper back into a position of kyphosis again, and you're doing this for 8 hours. And when you do these things for a long time and with a habit that's ingrained, you're training your body to have postural faults. One thing that I forgot when sitting at the desk, and if you have a postural fault, now if you've got a postural fault, back to the test, stand against the wall like this, as I showed you, heels, backs of your calves, arse, scapula and the back of your head all touching the wall. Get somebody to take a photograph of you, and then make note of your postural faults. Now, the most common postural fault, because of our technological age and the use of screens, is you'll find that when you've got your arse, back of your calves and your heels against, you'll be craned forward. If you have a kyphotic spine, you'll be forward like this. Now, if you've got a kyphotic spine, I'd highly recommend one of these things. Now, I used this back in the day when I was correcting my own posture, and I still use this when I'm sat at the desk on the computer. I still use this. And look at what it does. It puts the shoulders into the correct position, and you don't have to think about it. So I'd highly recommend, if you've got a postural fault, get yourself one of these. But it's not enough just to have one of these. And also the wall stand, if you're doing the wall stand and you find that you've got a kyphotic spine especially, keep working towards it, pushing your head back as often as you can remember during the day. Come up to a wall. This exercise, it's actually an exercise as well and an indicator of whether you have a postural fault. Stand here for just a couple of minutes at a time. And then, because it's important to start from the ground up and to fix this at its root cause. So by all costs, I highly recommend that you fix your posture. If you want more insight and help on exactly how to fix your posture, stay tuned for more.